This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and now for something different. This is the HP Pro Slate 12. It's an Android 12.3-inch tablet, which in and of itself is actually pretty unusual. There aren't very many very big Android slates out there. Samsung has made one, of course, but HP intends this for business, but of course anybody could buy it, and the price isn't so astronomical like some HP business products. It's around $550 if you want to get it, but what makes it interesting and cool, besides the fact it runs Android 5 Lollipop, it's slim, it's 1.87 pounds, which isn't bad for something this big. It works with HP's new Duet Pen. This is an active pen with ultrasonic output, and we'll do a close-up so you can see it later. So you can write on the screen with this, and it has pressure sensitivity and all that sort of thing, and you can write on paper too if you want to be old-fashioned for any reason. You have a notepad or something like that, and the pen tip is reversible. You pull it out, put it in the switch it the other way, you got an ink pen there. So we're going to show you how that works as well. Other than that, it's pretty well spec'd as a quad-core Snapdragon 800. Okay, that sounds a little bit old there, but it's still a fairly powerful CPU, plenty of storage inside, microSD card. We're going to look at it now. Well, this is something you don't see every day, an Android tablet this big. We've seen Windows tablets that are in the 12-inch family, and certainly the Microsoft Surface Pro 3 comes to mind, but this is a 12.3-inch Android tablet with a 4:3 aspect ratio like the iPad, so it's more manageable to use in portrait mode, up and down mode, and the idea is that you might want to use it as a digital notepad. That's why they've done that there. Front speakers flanking on the sides over here. Nice enough looking display. Corning Concord glass here. 1600 by 900 resolution. So it's not, the highest resolution you've ever heard of, but it's perfectly adequate, and things look nice and sharp and pleasing. And you got an IPS quality display right here with good viewing angles. And the most interesting thing, perhaps besides the size, is that it works with HP's new Duet Pen right here. They call it Duet because it writes on the screen, and it has ultrasound. You can see the interesting kind of, the way the pen works right there. So you can actually write on a notepad that is side by side next to the tablet, because the tablet has not just the usual 2 microphones for voice, it has 5 additional microphones that pick up the ultrasonic sound of the tablet. Sounds complicated, sounds like it wouldn't work, but you know what, it actually really does, and we'll demo that. It works really well writing on a paper pad, and HP sells a Folio that has a space for a standard size pad of paper inside. We'll show you how that works, but you can use your own paper too. It doesn't require any special paper. There's a pogo pin connector here to work with the optional portable dock, which is a small dock, about that size would fit in my hand. Gives you HDMI, USB ports, that sort of thing. Business product, so HP makes the accessories. There's also an optional keyboard for this as well. As you can see, it's quite slim. Metal frame on here. Pretty sturdy, even though it's big. I mean, if you really were silly and tried, you could probably flex the thing, but you'd have to try pretty hard. So it is, after all, electronics. It's not appropriate to go gorilla on it either. Headphone jack right there, headphone combo mic jack. Actually, this is the SD card slot, micro SD card slot. HP lists this as also having a nano SIM card slot, not on our model, not that we could find. Micro USB port there, charging, syncing. Uses a standard 10-watt tablet charger. You can also get an 18-watt faster charger, and that does support USB host as well for USB peripherals that are supported by Android. On the top, we have the power button. We have the volume controls, microphone hole there, standard microphone, not the ultrasonic one on that side, and nothing over here. It is nominally serviceable as a business product. HP believes IT shops should be able to do that. Really teeny tiny Torx screws here, you undo those, and you do have access to the internals for those of you who wish to service it. 8 megapixel camera on the back over here, 2 megapixel camera on the front. They're decent cameras. Tablet cameras are very rarely fantastic. This is not a fantastic camera, but it gets the job done. And you can see the NFC logo there. It does have NFC. Also has dual band Wi-Fi, 802.11ac, and Bluetooth 4.0 LE. Despite what HP's spec sheet says, it says it runs KitKat. No, in fact, it runs Android 5.0.2 Lollipop. So Lollipop's the latest, greatest iteration. Standard looking UI here. That's a wonderful thing. HP has not put some heavy skin on this or mess with the icons. It's straightforward. It's easy enough to use. The settings, you swipe down from here, do swipe further, you have your access to your quick settings, and then you can get to all settings right there. full complement of settings. Plus, you got settings for the HP Duet Pen, the HP dock, and so on. We've got voice wake up on here. It has DTS plus sound because even business people like to have some fun. And we have it set on the music setting right now, which is pretty good all-around setting to use. Creates desktops as needed. At first, there's only one desktop. After I installed some benchmark programs that you can see right there, it just threw them on a new screen that it created, and we have our dock down here you can customize. HP throws in their own Notes app, which is certainly key to using this product with the pen, and they also have the light or free version of Corel Painter. Painter is an awesome Windows program. I'm not as impressed with the Android version, mostly because all the pens look a little too much the same. One of the hallmarks of Painter is that the pencil looks so much different from the ink brush and so on. Yeah, oh well, I like the tablet a lot better for note-taking than for drawing anyway, to be honest. In terms of what you get inside, it is a quad-core Snapdragon 800 clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. Yeah, that's kind of, a little old right now, but it's still one of the more powerful processors you can get in a mobile device, especially considering the Snapdragon 800 didn't get that much faster, and even the 810, it's faster, but at the expense of heat. So you can see the number right here for our 3D Mark test, the Ice Storm Unlimited test, 18,713. That's a pretty darn good test, and still it's going to benchmark along with some of the faster devices that are still on the market. Geekbench 3, 918 for the single core, 2799 for the multi-core test. SunSpider JavaScript test on Chrome, 1181, where no lower numbers are better, and 5600s will be the fastest scores we've seen, and we've seen it. Slow scores up to about 2,000, so it's kind of the middle of the pack there. It's not bad. Quadrant, 23,103. It's got respectable speed. It's got 2 gigs of RAM. It has 32 gigs of internal storage plus the microSD card slot. So a pretty capable product for a list price of $569, an average street price of $550. And by the way, if you like the whole idea of this, but you just want it to be small, there is a Pro Slate 8 that's around $450, and it has even higher pixel density, interestingly enough, 2048 by 1536, which just happens to match a certain iPad resolution there. And so it's actually a 7.9-inch model. Same features otherwise on the tablet. So let's take a look at the pen, which is really the hallmark here of the product. And notice being 4:3 aspect ratio, I'm going to flip it up like this. It's not as oblong and crazy. A lot of these tablets are just too tall to use. So here's where using it in portrait mode would be key. This is the HP Notes application, and here it resembles your average size note-taking pad, doesn't it? A funny thing about this is when you create a new notebook, you have to choose whether you're going to be doing it to write and draw directly on the screen or if you're going to be using capture mode. You have to make that decision first. So capture mode is when you want to use an actual physical pen and paper. Interesting thought. As opposed to writing on the screen. We'll cover the screen first, then we'll get into doing the pen and paper business. So here we are in the Notes application where you can actually draw too. You can see you can choose between drawing and writing. Here it does have palm rejection in the tablet, and when you're writing you can choose some colors here and you can turn on typeset. So it does handwriting recognition, and it can either leave your handwriting alone, which in the case of my ugly handwriting is really not so attractive, or you can have it turned into something a little bit prettier. So let's write something. So there it is. It actually turned it right into text immediately. It's uncannily good. Obviously, I do not have very good handwriting. It's not perfect. You can see the Swift Brown Fox is out to lunch, became the Swift Own Fox is out to lunch. So it will make occasional mistakes. You can go and correct them pretty easily, which is nice though. So here if I want to correct something, I intentionally misspelled that word. Notice how it just pretty literal there. I can just cross that out and give it another go. You can also insert characters, insert spaces. Gosh, it recognized that. That's pretty impressive for drawing. You need any kind of drawing that you want with colors and all that sort of thing. It's really more of a note-taking application than it is a drawing application. You can do some stunning artwork there, can't you? You have an eraser function, you have an undo function, you have a lasso if you want to select something, move it around. You can import photos. It's a pretty good note-taking application, but really what stands out is how good the handwriting recognition is on this. Now let's switch over to our paint program that's bundled. And that was just a bunch of random testing of scribbles to see what the different inks were like on this. And we'll switch this over to landscape mode. And that's supposed to be a fat oil brush right there. Let's make that a little skinnier so we can look at the pressure sensitivity. There we go. So, light line, getting heavy intentionally. You've got pressure sensitivity. I can rest my hand on the glass. It does all that just fine. Now for more interesting tests, we're going to test out Autodesk Sketchbook because I know a lot of folks use that. And we'll do a not very good palm tree here. Just going to sketch in a hurry. Now, as an art-taking device, it's not that the lag is terrible on this. It has pressure sensitivity. It's not bad. I don't feel it's quite as responsive, and the pen offset's a little bit more noticeable. Even then with Wacom tablets, like the Samsung Galaxy Note series of tablets, or Samsung Note tablets, it's not bad. I would say primarily a note-taking device. It can do with artwork. Mostly it's that pen offset. It does support a lot of pen leaning, which is very nice, and HP worked hard on getting that right. So for an even more interesting thing, we're going to look at writing on paper and having it transfer to the HP Notes application next. So now we're going to test using HP's Folio case, which itself weighs almost 2 pounds. So the only thing I don't like about it is it's darn heavy. It can act as a stand. It has a nice grippy exterior. We'll show you that in a minute. It's got a place to put the pen. It has a pad of paper holder. Again, you can use any paper you want. So with the pen here, logically, it makes the most sense if you switch the tip around. If you turn it around and just stick it back in there, you have a regular ballpoint pen. So I'm going to write on the paper. Darn, right? That's really actually very impressive. Now, HP says you don't have to use their Folio. You can use any piece of paper that you want, but the idea is that the sensors are on this side over here, the 5 little microphones that are listening for the ultrasound coming out of this. So you got to put, the pad of paper pretty much like that position if you're using your own instead of getting the Folio. And if you want to do a diagram, now I chose write rather than draw. I don't think it really matters because I was drawing before doing this. So say you want to do a diagram. Keeps up really well. And let's get the math right in our head. That would probably be about 5.9. So I've drawn a triangle. And it's obviously not going to try to do any character recognition while I have it in draw mode. You could write formulas on this, anything that you wanted. So for those of you who are still fond for writing on paper for any reason, with actual ink and having a physical piece of paper afterwards to keep around just in case you need it, the capability is there, and that makes this pretty unusual. And the fact that it actually works so well is pretty darn impressive too. And now here's the big view of that Folio. It acts as a stand as well, so you can just take it and do that. And by the way, here's what the web browser looks like. Very desktop-like experience because, well, it's such a darn big screen. It's pretty nice. Very luxurious if you're used to having to look at teeny-weeny screens. And if you want to carry it around close, you just do that. And this is what the case looks like. It's a very grippy material. It kind of has a brushed aluminum look, but it feels very rubbery. My only complaint is it really holds onto schmutz. You can clean it with a damp rag. If you rub it with your finger, it might even pick up some dead skin instead. A camera is exposed here on the back, so you can still use the 8-megapixel camera. We've got this little strap here, so you can close it up and not have it flop around. And the whole thing together weighs almost 4 pounds. That's the thing that I'm not too fond of with that. You also get an Office compatible suite with this if there's one that you like even better. Of course, there are several available on the Google Play Store. You can use that as well, but you've got one built in for productivity use. Now, what about a little bit of fun? So you can hear the front-facing speakers. Volume right now is set at 66%. It's not the loudest thing I've ever heard, but it's not bad either. And we'll play our Lenovo video. Here's something neat and different from Lenovo, and actually from NEC as well through their partnership. This is the Lenovo LaVie-Z and the LaVie-Z 360. The 360 is the one with the convertible hinge, goes 360 degrees. the regular Lovisi, that's 100% volume right there. Now obviously because it's 4:3 aspect ratio, when you're watching your usual 16:9 widescreen format, you're going to see black bars on the top and the bottom. That's the trade-off you have for having something that is perhaps more useful for productivity tasks and web browsing, being 4:3 aspect ratio. So how about battery life? 37 watt-hour battery sealed inside. Takes a while to charge it. I will say with the 10-watt charger, you can get an 18-watt charger if you want to speed things up a little bit. I've found that it lasts on average, doing mostly productivity stuff, streaming a little bit of video, about 8 to 9 hours on a charge, which is pretty impressive because it's got a big screen that it's driving here. So I think that's perfectly adequate and obviously does better than most Windows laptops on the market. And it's clearly a stand-in tool for a laptop in terms of productivity given the size of it. So all in all, we applaud HP. They've been doing some very innovative things here. It's not for everybody being this huge, but for those of you who really want the big screen and are interested in the productivity features, or for your workforce, particularly those who have to take notes on pen and paper or virtual screen, it really does the job nicely. And it's got the dock accessory, the Folio accessory, an ecosystem around it that HP makes available for business users, but anybody can buy them if they want. So there it is for business users, the HP Pro Slate 12. Yes, again, like I said, Samsung has a competing big screen tablet, but this one also targets business. That's one of the reasons it exists. I mean, you as a consumer, you might want to buy it too. It's nice, classy looking, kind of that sturdy metal construction, all that, but there's a whole lot of accessories that business folks like, and some consumers do too. Like I mentioned, the dock, obviously the folio for the paper pad, stuff like that, a keyboard accessory for it. So for those who are looking to do kind of more businessy stuff on it, it's got what it takes. But it's not just about business. We have the front-facing stereo speakers, a really big, nice-looking display that's good for watching videos and plays games fine too. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can catch more of these cool gadgets.